Long ago, a king, fearing his enemies, took refuge in a dark and remote cave with his young and beautiful daughter. The king spent all his days in the cave praying and never ventured outside. But the young girl, like a bird trapped in a cage, went outside every day to enjoy the sky and the sunlight. Days passed. One day, she was sitting by the cold, calm sea, gazing at her reflection in the water with a playful smile. Suddenly, two strangers appeared. They were captivated by the enchanting beauty of the girl. Without sensing any danger, she shared her life story with them. One of the men fell in love with her at once. From that day on, they met by the sea every day, talking, laughing, and watching the stars in the quiet nights. But love does not always have a happy fate. After a while, the man decided to formally ask the king for her hand in marriage. With a heart full of hope, he entered the cave, but the king responded with anger. "Never! My daughter shall marry no one." Filled with rage and despair, the man drew his sword and, in a dark moment, killed the king. The cave echoed with the cries of death, and the girl collapsed in horror. The man, ignoring her tears, took her away. But from that night, their lives were never peaceful. The king's spirit did not rest in the cave. Every night his wails echoed in the wind, chains rattled, and horrifying screams filled the air. And every time the girl looked into the man's eyes, she saw the blooded image of her father. One rainy night, while the man slept, the girl heard someone calling her name from the darkness. Looking through the window, she saw her father's half-burned body standing in the rain, his eyes glowing red. "My daughter, avenge me!" Terrified but filled with anger, the girl grabbed a dagger that night while the man was still asleep. But before she could act, the man awoke and grabbed her hand. At that moment, doors and windows slammed shut. A dark mist filled the cave, and the furious spirit of the king appeared with a trembling voice. The man screamed and drew his sword, but it flew from his hand. The king's spirit pierced the man's chest with his red eyes. Blood poured out, and the man fell to the ground before the girl. The king's spirit turned to the girl and said, "You shall remain with me forever." From that day on, no one ever saw the girl or the king again. Only the dark cave by the sea remained, where every night the cries of a young girl and the king's screams could be heard in the wind. Love can be beautiful and sweet, but when mixed with betrayal, anger, and greed, even the strongest hearts can be destroyed. Always be careful in your choices, for a single reckless moment can change your entire life. If you want to hear more romantic and scary stories from Sada Zone, please subscribe, like, and comment.